The pill bottle fell from my sister's purse and rolled across Mom's kitchen floor, stopping at my feet. I picked it up and read the label. Lorazepam, for severe anxiety. Do not exceed 1 tablet daily. But Mom didn't have anxiety, and she'd never been prescribed this medication. "Sarah, what is this?" I asked, holding up the bottle. My sister's face went white. "Oh, that's mine. I've been having some stress issues." "This has Mom's name on it." Sarah lunged for the bottle, but I pulled it away. The prescription was dated 3 weeks ago, prescribed by a doctor I'd never heard of, for a condition Mom had never mentioned. If you've ever discovered that someone you trusted was systematically poisoning a family member for money, stay with me. Because what I found out about Sarah's plan to inherit our mother's $800,000 estate will make you question every family member who's ever offered to help with an aging parent. My name is Margaret, I'm 48 years old, and this is how I discovered that some people will drug their own mother to death for an inheritance. Let me tell you about the 6 months I spent being grateful for my sister's devotion to our 78-year-old mother, never knowing that Sarah was slowly killing her with a cocktail of prescription drugs. It started when Mom had a minor fall in her bathroom last October. Nothing serious, just a bruised hip and some shaken confidence. But Sarah immediately positioned herself as the primary caregiver. "Margaret, you live 2 hours away and have your own family to worry about," Sarah told me after Mom's accident. "I'm single, I work from home, and I can check on her every day." It seemed like the perfect arrangement. Sarah lived only 10 minutes from Mom's house, had a flexible schedule as a freelance graphic designer, and had always been close to our mother. "You're so lucky to have Sarah nearby," Mom would tell me during our weekly phone calls. "She's been such a help since my fall." Sarah had indeed become indispensable. She drove Mom to doctor appointments, picked up groceries, managed medications, and even started handling Mom's bills and banking. "I don't want Mom to worry about finances," Sarah explained when I asked about taking over the money management. "She's getting a little forgetful, and I want to make sure everything is paid on time." Mom did seem more forgetful lately, but I attributed it to normal aging and the stress of her fall. She was 78 after all, and had been living independently since Dad died 5 years earlier. "Sarah's been wonderful," Mom told me during one of our weekly phone calls. "She's bring me lunch every day and makes sure I take my vitamins." I was grateful for Sarah's dedication. My own life was hectic with a demanding job and 2 teenagers, and the 2-hour drive to Mom's house made frequent visits difficult. "I don't know what we'd do without you," I told Sarah during one of my weekend visits. "Mom seems so much more relaxed knowing you're looking out for her." "It's what family does. Besides, Mom took care of us our whole lives. Now it's our turn to take care of her." But over the following months, I started noticing changes in Mom that worried me. She seemed increasingly drowsy during my visits, often falling asleep mid-conversation. "Is Mom okay, Sarah? She seems so tired lately." "The doctor says it's normal for someone her age, especially after a traumatic fall. He prescribed some medication to help with her anxiety about falling again." "What kind of medication?" "Just something mild to help her relax. She was getting really worked up about being alone in the house." Mom's personality seemed to be changing too. The sharp, witty woman who'd raised us was becoming passive and confused. She'd forget conversations we'd had, repeat herself frequently, and seem disoriented about time and dates. "Maybe we should consider assisted living," Sarah suggested during one family discussion. "Mom's declining pretty rapidly, and I'm worried about her safety." "She seems fine when I talk to her on the phone," I said. "That's because you only see her for a few hours on weekends. I'm here every day watching her struggle." Sarah painted a picture of a woman who was becoming increasingly dependent and confused. According to her, Mom was having trouble remembering to eat, forgetting to take her medications, and becoming anxious and agitated when left alone. Yesterday, I found her standing in the kitchen at 2 a.m., fully dressed, saying she was waiting for Dad to come home. She was completely confused about where she was. These incidents always seemed to happen when I wasn't there. During my visits, Mom seemed tired, but generally coherent. "Are you sure about these episodes?" I asked Sarah. "Mom seems okay to me." "She has good days and bad days. You just happen to catch her on the good days." Sarah started documenting Mom's supposed decline in a detailed journal that she shared with me and Mom's doctor. March 15th. Found Mom trying to cook dinner at 3 a.m. She was confused and agitated when I redirected her back to bed. March 18th. Mom forgot she'd already eaten lunch and tried to cook again. She seemed disoriented about the time of day. March 22nd. Mom called me crying, saying she couldn't remember how to use the washing machine. The journal painted a picture of rapid cognitive decline that seemed to accelerate each week. "I think we need to start considering Mom's long-term care options," Sarah said. "She's becoming a danger to herself." "What does her doctor say?" "Dr. Peterson thinks she might be developing dementia. He's increased her anxiety medication and suggested we start looking into memory care facilities." Dr. Peterson was a new physician Sarah had found after Mom's regular doctor retired. I'd never met him, but Sarah spoke highly of his expertise with elderly patients. He specializes in geriatric medicine. He's much better equipped to handle Mom's needs than her old family doctor. Sarah also started suggesting Mom update her will and estate planning. At her age, with her declining mental state, it's important to get these things settled while she's still competent. Has she mentioned wanting to change anything? "She's worried about being a burden on us. She wants to make sure there's enough money for her care without depleting her savings." Mom had always been financially responsible and had accumulated a substantial nest egg, about $800,000 in savings and investments, plus her paid-off house worth another $300,000. "I just want to make sure you girls are taken care of," Mom told me during one of my visits. "I don't want my care costs to eat up everything I've saved." "Don't worry about money, Mom. We'll figure it out." Sarah's been helping me organize my finances. She thinks I should set up a trust to protect my assets. Sarah had indeed been busy with Mom's financial planning. She'd arranged meetings with estate attorneys, updated beneficiary information, and even convinced Mom to add her as a joint account holder on her checking account. "It's just for convenience," Sarah explained, "so I can pay her bills and handle her banking without having to get power of attorney documents every time." Everything Sarah was doing seemed reasonable and caring. She was the devoted daughter stepping up to care for an aging parent, handling the practical details that I couldn't manage from 2 hours away. What I didn't know was that Sarah had been systematically drugging Mom with a combination of prescription medications that were causing the confusion, drowsiness, and memory problems I'd attributed to normal aging. What I discovered will make your blood boil. Sometimes the most devastating discoveries come from the smallest details, and finding that pill bottle in Sarah's purse would expose a web of medical manipulation that nearly killed our mother. After I found the lorazepam bottle with Mom's name on it, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Mom had never mentioned having anxiety, and she'd always been opposed to taking unnecessary medications. "I don't like pills," she'd always said. "They make me feel fuzzy and not like myself." But according to Sarah, Mom was now taking several medications for various age-related conditions. "Dr. Peterson has her on a few things," Sarah had explained. "Something for anxiety, something to help her sleep, and a mild antidepressant because she's been feeling down since her fall." I decided to visit Mom unannounced the following Tuesday, when Sarah wouldn't expect me.
"Margaret, what a wonderful surprise," Mom said when she answered the door. But she seemed unsteady on her feet and her words were slightly slurred. "Are you feeling okay, Mom?" "Just tired, sweetheart. Sarah brought me lunch and my afternoon medications, and they always make me sleepy." "What kind of medication are you taking?" "I'm not sure. Sarah handles all that. She has one of those pill organizers and gives me what I need to take." I followed Mom to the kitchen where I found a large pill organizer on the counter. It was divided into morning, afternoon, and evening compartments for each day of the week. "This is a lot of pills, Mom. Do you know what they're all for?" "Sarah says they're to help me feel better. Some are for anxiety, some are to help me sleep, and some are vitamins." I counted at least 6 different pills in each compartment, far more medication than seemed necessary for a woman who'd been healthy just 6 months earlier. "Can I see the bottles these came from?" "Sarah keeps them in her purse. She says it's safer that way so I don't accidentally take too much." This struck me as odd. Why would Sarah keep Mom's medications instead of leaving them in Mom's medicine cabinet? When did Dr. Peterson prescribe all these medications? "I'm not sure. Sarah handles all my doctor appointments now." "You don't go to the appointments?" "Oh, I do, but I get so confused talking to doctors. Sarah asks all the questions and remembers what he says." I was starting to feel uneasy about the level of control Sarah had assumed over Mom's medical care. "Mom, how do you feel when you take these medications?" "Tired, mostly, and sometimes confused. But Sarah says that's normal for someone my age." "Have you always felt this way, or just since you started taking the new medications?" Mom thought for a moment. I think I started feeling fuzzy after Sarah began helping with my pills, but she says it's because of my fall and getting older." I spent the rest of the afternoon with Mom, and I noticed that she seemed more alert and coherent as the day went on. By evening, she was more like her old self, sharp, funny, and engaged. "I feel better when Sarah's not here," Mom said quietly as I was preparing to leave. "Is that terrible to say?" "Why do you feel better?" "I don't know. I just feel less foggy, like my head is clearer." "Mom, would you be willing to skip your evening medications tonight? Just to see how you feel?" "Sarah says I have to take them. She says Dr. Peterson was very specific about the timing." "Just tonight, as an experiment." Mom agreed, and I stayed overnight to monitor her. She slept well without the evening medications and woke up the next morning more alert than I'd seen her in months. "I feel good today," she said over breakfast. "My head feels clear." That's when Sarah arrived for her daily visit. "Margaret, I didn't know you were staying over," she said, but her tone suggested she wasn't pleased. "I wanted to spend some extra time with Mom." "How are you feeling today, Mom?" Sarah asked, pulling out the pill organizer. "I feel wonderful, much better than usual." "That's great. Let's get your morning medications in you." "Actually," I said, "Mom skipped her evening pills last night and feels much better today. Maybe she doesn't need so many medications." Sarah's face darkened. "Margaret, you can't just stop someone's medications without consulting their doctor. That could be dangerous." "What exactly are all these pills for?" "Dr. Peterson prescribed them for Mom's anxiety, depression, and sleep issues. They're necessary for her mental health." "Mom, do you feel anxious or depressed?" "Not really. I feel sad sometimes about getting older, but I wouldn't say I'm depressed." "See? The medications are working. That's why she doesn't feel anxious or depressed." But something about Sarah's explanation didn't ring true. If the medications were working, why did Mom seem more confused and drowsy when she took them? I'd like to talk to Dr. Peterson myself. That's not necessary. I keep him updated on Mom's condition. I'm her daughter too, Sarah. I have a right to speak with her doctor. Sarah reluctantly gave me Dr. Peterson's contact information, but when I called his offices, I discovered something disturbing. I'm sorry, but we don't have a patient named Eleanor Mitchell in our system. Are you sure? My sister Sarah has been bringing her to see Dr. Peterson for several months. Let me check again. No, I'm not showing any patient by that name. I hung up the phone with a growing sense of dread. If Mom wasn't a patient of Dr. Peterson's, where were these medications coming from? That evening, I confronted Sarah directly. I called Dr. Peterson's office. They have no record of Mom being a patient there. That's impossible. We've been seeing him for months. The receptionist checked twice. Mom is not in their system. There must be some mistake. Maybe they have her under a different name, or there's a computer error. Sarah, where are Mom's medications really coming from? I told you, Dr. Peterson prescribed them. If that's true, then you won't mind if we take Mom to see him together so I can meet this doctor who's treating her. Sarah's composure cracked. Margaret, you're being paranoid. I'm trying to help Mom, and you're making this difficult. I'm trying to protect Mom. And right now, I'm not sure she needs protection from her medical condition or from you. That's when I noticed Sarah's purse was open on the kitchen counter, and I could see several pill bottles inside. Sarah, can I see those pill bottles? Those are my personal medications. Then you won't mind showing me. I reached for her purse, and that's when the lorazepam bottle fell out and rolled across the floor. The truth was more devastating than I imagined. Have you ever had to face the possibility that your own sister was slowly killing your mother for money? That's exactly what I confronted when I started investigating the medications Sarah had been giving Mom. After finding the lorazepam bottle with Mom's name on it, I knew I needed professional help to understand what was happening. I called my friend Lisa, who worked as a pharmacist at the local hospital. Lisa, I need your help with something serious. Can you look at some medications and tell me what they're used for? Of course. What's going on? I explained the situation with Mom's mysterious medications and Sarah's evasive behavior about the prescribing doctor. Bring me the pill bottles and I'll tell you exactly what your mother is taking. The next day, I returned to Mom's house when Sarah wasn't there and photographed all the pills in the organizer. I also managed to find several empty pill bottles that Sarah had thrown away. Lisa's analysis was shocking. Margaret, your mother is being given a dangerous combination of sedatives and anti-anxiety medications. Lorazepam, zolpidem, trazodone, and what looks like haloperidol. What do those drugs do? They're all central nervous system depressants. Lorazepam is for severe anxiety, zolpidem is a sleep aid, trazodone is an antidepressant that causes drowsiness, and haloperidol is an antipsychotic. An antipsychotic? Mom doesn't have any mental illness. That's what's concerning. These medications, especially in combination, would cause exactly the symptoms you're describing: confusion, drowsiness, memory problems, and disorientation. Could they be dangerous? Extremely dangerous, especially for an elderly person. This combination could cause falls, respiratory depression, and even death. Lisa also discovered something else troubling about the medications. These prescriptions are from 4 different doctors and 3 different pharmacies. That's a red flag for doctor shopping. Doctor shopping? It's when someone goes to multiple doctors to get prescriptions, usually to avoid detection of drug abuse or to stockpile medications. But Sarah isn't taking these drugs herself. She's giving them to Mom, which makes this even more serious. If she's obtaining these medications fraudulently and giving them to your mother without legitimate medical supervision, that's elder abuse and potentially attempted murder. I felt sick. My own sister was poisoning our mother. What should I do? You need to contact Adult Protective Services immediately, and you should probably call the police. Before involving authorities, I decided to gather more evidence. I installed a hidden camera in Mom's kitchen to document what was happening during Sarah's daily visits. What I captured over the next 3 days was horrifying. The footage showed Sarah arriving each day with a small bag containing pill bottles. She would prepare Mom's medications, often crushing pills and mixing them into food or drinks when Mom resisted taking them. "Come on, Mom, you need to take your vitamins," Sarah would say, stirring crushed pills into Mom's orange juice. "I don't want them. They make me feel funny." "The doctor says you have to take them. Do you want to get sicker?" The camera also captured Sarah going through Mom's financial documents, photographing bank statements, and making phone calls about Mom's investments. "Yes, I'm calling about
My mother's account," I heard her say during one call. "I need to discuss transferring some funds." No, she's not able to come to the bank herself. She's developing dementia. But the most damning evidence came when I heard Sarah talking to someone on the phone about Mom's condition. "She's getting worse every day," Sarah said. "The doctor thinks it might be time to consider hospice care. Yes, I know it's sad, but at least she won't suffer much longer." Hospice care? Mom wasn't dying. She was being poisoned. I also discovered that Sarah had been researching Mom's estate and inheritance laws online. Her browser history showed searches for "how long does probate take?", "avoiding estate taxes," and "signs of dementia in elderly." Armed with this evidence, I contacted Detective Robert Chen at the local police department. "Detective Chen, I believe my sister is poisoning our mother to inherit her estate." "That's a serious accusation. What evidence do you have?" I shared the video footage, the medication analysis from Lisa, and the documentation of Sarah's suspicious behavior. "This is definitely elder abuse," Detective Chen said after reviewing the evidence. "We need to get your mother to a hospital immediately for a toxicology screening." "What about Sarah?" "We'll arrest her on charges of elder abuse and attempted murder." The next morning, I picked up Mom for what I told Sarah was a routine doctor's appointment. Instead, I took her directly to the emergency room. "Mom, I need the doctors to run some tests. I think the medications you've been taking might be making you sick." "I've been feeling awful lately, confused and tired all the time." The toxicology screening confirmed what Lisa had suspected. Mom's blood contained dangerous levels of multiple sedatives and antipsychotics. "Mrs. Mitchell has been systematically poisoned," Dr. Martinez told me. "The levels of these medications in her system are potentially lethal." "How long has this been going on?" "Based on the drug levels and her symptoms, I'd estimate several months of consistent dosing." "Will she recover?" "With proper medical care and time for the drugs to clear her system, yes. But if this had continued much longer, the outcome could have been fatal." While Mom was being treated at the hospital, Detective Chen arrested Sarah at her apartment. "Sarah Mitchell, you are under arrest for elder abuse, fraud, and attempted murder." "This is ridiculous. I was taking care of my mother." "By poisoning her with medications she didn't need?" "She needed those medications. She was anxious and confused." Because you were drugging her. The police search of Sarah's apartment revealed a stockpile of prescription medications, forged prescriptions, and detailed notes about Mom's estate and financial accounts. They also found a journal where Sarah had documented her plan. Week 1 through 4. Establish medication routine, build trust with Mom. Week 5 through 8. Increase dosages, document decline for doctors. Week 9 through 12, push for power of attorney and estate planning. Week 13 through 16, accelerate decline, prepare for natural death. Sarah had been planning to kill our mother slowly, making it look like natural decline due to aging and dementia. You won't believe what happened next. Sometimes justice comes slowly, but when it arrives, it's worth the wait. Watching Sarah face the consequences of her actions while Mom recovered her health and dignity was the most satisfying experience of my life. Mom's recovery was remarkable. Within 48 hours of stopping the medications, her confusion began to clear. Within a week, she was alert, coherent, and more like her old self than she'd been in months. "I feel like I'm waking up from a bad dream," she told me from her hospital bed. "I couldn't understand why I felt so awful all the time. The doctors say all the medications should be out of your system within a few more days. I can't believe Sarah was doing this to me, my own daughter." The hardest part for Mom wasn't the physical recovery, it was the emotional betrayal. Learning that Sarah had been systematically poisoning her for months was devastating. "I trusted her completely," she said through tears. "I thought she was taking care of me." "She was supposed to be taking care of you. What she did was unforgivable." Dr. Martinez explained that Mom had been lucky to survive Sarah's poisoning campaign. "The combination of medications your sister was giving you could have caused respiratory failure, cardiac arrest, or fatal falls. You're fortunate your daughter discovered what was happening when she did." As Mom's condition improved, the full scope of Sarah's plan became clear. The police investigation revealed that she had been systematically preparing to inherit Mom's estate through a combination of medical manipulation and legal fraud. Your sister had convinced your mother to update her will, making Sarah the primary beneficiary. She'd also gotten power of attorney and had been moving money from Mom's accounts. How much money? About $50,000 so far, but she was planning to take much more once Mom was declared incompetent or died. She had everything planned out, Detective Chen said. The medications, the legal documents, even the funeral arrangements. The trial began 6 months later. Sarah had been charged with attempted murder, elder abuse, fraud, and forgery. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," the prosecutor, David Martinez, began, "the defendant spent months slowly poisoning her own mother with dangerous medications, planning to inherit an $800,000 estate after her victim's death." Sarah's defense attorney tried to argue that she genuinely believed she was helping Mom. "My client was a devoted daughter who was trying to care for her aging mother," Attorney Patricia Williams argued. "She may have made mistakes in medication management, but she never intended to harm anyone." But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury heard testimony from Lisa about the dangerous drug combinations, saw the video footage of Sarah crushing pills into Mom's food, and reviewed Sarah's own journal documenting her plan. Mom testified about the months of confusion and illness she had experienced while taking Sarah's medications. "I felt like I was losing my mind," she told the jury. "I couldn't think clearly, couldn't remember things, couldn't function normally. I thought I was dying." "How do you feel now that you've stopped taking those medications?" Prosecutor Martinez asked. "I feel like myself again, clear-headed, energetic, healthy. I realize now that I wasn't sick, I was being poisoned." The most damaging testimony came from Dr. Peterson, the real Dr. Peterson. who testified that he had never treated Mom and never prescribed any of the medications Sarah had been giving her. "I have no record of ever seeing Mrs. Mitchell as a patient," he said. "The prescriptions bearing my name are forgeries." Sarah had been creating fake prescriptions using stolen prescription pads and forged doctor signatures. The jury also heard about Sarah's financial motives. A forensic accountant testified about the money Sarah had already stolen and her plans to inherit Mom's entire estate. The defendant had researched inheritance laws, estate taxes, and probate procedures, the accountant said. She knew exactly how much money she stood to inherit and had been planning how to spend it. When Sarah took the stand in her own defense, her testimony was a disaster. "I was trying to help my mother," she insisted. "She was anxious and confused, and I thought the medications would help her." "Where did you get these medications?" Prosecutor Martinez asked. "From her doctor?" "Which doctor? Dr. Peterson testified that he never treated your mother." "There must be some mistake." "Miss Mitchell, we have evidence that you forged prescriptions and obtained these medications illegally. How do you explain that?" I don't remember doing that." "You don't remember forging prescriptions to obtain drugs that you used to poison your mother?" "I wasn't poisoning her. I was trying to help her." "By giving her potentially lethal combinations of sedatives and antipsychotics? I didn't know they were dangerous." "But you researched these medications online. We have your browser history showing searches for drug interactions and lethal dosages." Sarah had no answer for the overwhelming evidence against her. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all charges. "We find the defendant guilty of attempted murder in the first degree, elder abuse, fraud, and forgery," the foreman announced. "Miss Mitchell, you committed one of the most heinous crimes imaginable, the systematic poisoning of your own mother for financial gain. You violated the most basic trust between family members and nearly killed a woman who loved and trusted you completely. This court finds your actions to be particularly egregious given the vulnerability of your victim and the calculated nature of your crimes." As Sarah was led away in handcuffs, she looked at me with pure hatred. "This is your fault," she said. "You destroyed our family." "No, Sarah. You destroyed our family when you decided to murder our mother for money." If you think blood is thicker than water, wait until you hear this. 1 year after Sarah's conviction, I was sitting in Mom's living room, the same room where Sarah had been crushing pills into her food, watching Mom work in her garden through the window, and I marveled at how completely she had recovered from her sister's attempt to kill her. "I can't believe how good I feel," Mom told me as she came inside with fresh flowers. "It's like I have my life back." She was right. At 79, Mom was healthier and more energetic than she'd been in years. The confusion, drowsiness, and memory problems that Sarah had caused with her poisoning campaign were completely gone. "The doctors say there's no permanent damage from the medications," Mom said. "My brain is working just fine." Dr. Martinez had been amazed by Mom's recovery. "Your mother's cognitive function has returned to normal," he told me during her 6-month follow-up appointment. "There's no evidence of the dementia-like symptoms she was experiencing while being poisoned." So Sarah's drugs were causing all of Mom's confusion? Absolutely. The combination of sedatives and antipsychotics your sister was giving her would cause exactly the symptoms your mother experienced: memory loss, disorientation, drowsiness, and difficulty thinking clearly. Mom had also regained her independence. She was driving again, managing her own finances, and living alone without any assistance. "I don't need a caregiver," she told me firmly. "I can take care of myself just fine." She was right. The woman Sarah had convinced everyone was declining rapidly was actually perfectly capable of independent living. The financial recovery had been more complicated. Sarah had stolen about $75,000 from Mom's accounts before being arrested, but the court had ordered full restitution. "Your sister will have to pay back every penny she stole, plus interest and penalties," the prosecutor had told us. Will we actually get the money back? Eventually. She'll have to make payments from prison wages, and any assets she has will be seized. Sarah had also been forced to forfeit any claim to Mom's inheritance. The will she had manipulated Mom into signing was declared invalid due to the circumstances under which it was created. "No one can profit from their own criminal actions," Mom's new attorney explained. "Sarah's conviction automatically disqualifies her from inheriting anything." But the most important recovery was emotional. Mom had struggled with feelings of betrayal and violation after learning what Sarah had done. "I keep thinking about all those months when I felt so awful," she told me. "I thought I was losing my mind, but really, my own daughter was poisoning me." "You couldn't have known what she was doing." "I should have trusted my instincts. I knew something was wrong, but I let her convince me it was just aging." Mom had started seeing a therapist to help process the trauma of being systematically poisoned by her own child. "It's hard to accept that someone you love and trust could do something so evil," her therapist had explained to me. "Your mother is dealing with both the physical effects of the poisoning and the emotional trauma of the betrayal." The therapy was helping. Mom was learning to trust her own perceptions again and to recognize that Sarah's actions weren't her fault. "I'm not responsible for what Sarah did," she told me. "She made her own choices." The case had also had broader implications. Detective Chin told me that Mom's case had led to increased awareness about elder abuse and medication fraud. "Your mother's case has been used to train police officers and social workers about the warning signs of medication abuse. We've identified several similar cases since then." "Other people are doing what Sarah did?" "Unfortunately, yes. Elder abuse is more common than people realize, and medication fraud is a growing problem." The hospital where Mom had been treated had also implemented new protocols for detecting medication abuse in elderly patients. "We now screen for unusual drug combinations and look for signs of systematic poisoning," Dr. Martinez told me. "Your mother's case taught us what to watch for." Mom had become an advocate for elder abuse prevention, traveling around the state to speak at community groups and healthcare conferences about her experience. "I want other families to know the warning signs," she told audiences. "If someone you love is suddenly becoming confused or drowsy after starting new medications, ask questions. Don't let anyone else control your medications or your medical care. Trust your instincts if something doesn't feel right." Her story had been featured in several news articles and a documentary about elder abuse, helping to educate people about this often hidden crime. "Your mother's courage to speak out has probably saved other lives," the documentary producer told me. "People need to know that this kind of abuse happens even within families." The most difficult part of the aftermath was dealing with the complete breakdown of our family relationships. Sarah's actions had destroyed not just her relationship with Mom and I, but had torn apart our entire extended family. Some relatives blamed me for turning Sarah in instead of handling it privately within the family. "You destroyed Sarah's life," my aunt told me. "Couldn't you have worked this out without involving the police?" "Sarah was killing Mom. What was I supposed to do? Let her finish the job?" "Families should stick together." "Families shouldn't poison each other for money."
other relatives had been shocked to learn what Sarah was capable of. "I never would have believed Sarah could do something like this," my cousin said. "She always seemed so caring and devoted to your mother." That's what made her so dangerous. She used our trust against us. Mom and I had grown much closer through this ordeal. The crisis had shown us how important family relationships really are and how precious the time we have together is. "I'm grateful this happened," Mom told me one day, which surprised me. Grateful? Not grateful that Sarah tried to kill me, but grateful that we found out before it was too late, and grateful that it brought us closer together. You're right. We now talked every day, visited frequently, and had developed a relationship based on honesty and mutual respect rather than obligation. "I don't take our relationship for granted anymore," I told her. "I know how quickly it could have been lost." The next part will restore your faith in justice. 3 years after Sarah's conviction, I was helping Mom celebrate her 82nd birthday in the same kitchen where Sarah had been crushing pills into her food, and I realized that sometimes the most evil acts can lead to the most beautiful transformations. "I never thought I'd live to see 82, Mom said as she blew out her birthday candles. 3 years ago, I thought I was dying." "You were dying. Sarah was killing you." "But I survived, and look at the life I have now." Mom was right. Her life at 82 was fuller and more meaningful than it had been in years. She was healthy, independent, and surrounded by people who genuinely cared about her. "I feel like I got a second chance at life," she told the small group of friends and family who'd gathered for her birthday. "I'm not going to waste it." And she hadn't wasted it. In the 3 years since Sarah's arrest, Mom had become a passionate advocate for elder abuse prevention, traveling around the state to speak at community groups and healthcare conferences. "Your mother has probably prevented dozens of similar cases," Detective Chin told me during the birthday celebration. "Her story has educated thousands of people about the warning signs of medication abuse." Mom had also written a book about her experience titled Poisoned Trust: How My Daughter Tried to Kill Me for Money. It had become a bestseller and was being used in social work and law enforcement training programs. "I want people to know that elder abuse can happen to anyone," Mom told her readers. "It doesn't matter how smart you are or how close your family is. Predators exist even within families." Her book had led to speaking engagements across the country. At 82, Mom was busier than she had been in decades. "I have a purpose now," she told me. "Sarah tried to end my life, but instead she gave me a mission." Mom had also used her platform to push for stronger laws protecting elderly people from medication abuse. Her advocacy had contributed to new legislation requiring better oversight of prescription medications for elderly patients. The Eleanor Mitchell Act required doctors to get a second opinion before prescribing multiple psychoactive medications to elderly patients and mandated reporting of suspected medication abuse. Your mother's case has literally changed how we protect elderly people, the bill's sponsor told us at the signing ceremony. Her courage to speak out has created protections that will save lives. But perhaps the most meaningful change was in our family relationships. The crisis had brought Mom and me closer than we'd ever been, and it had also connected us with a community of other families who'd experienced similar betrayals. "We're not alone in this," Mom said during one of the support group meetings she'd started for elder abuse survivors. "There are other families who understand what we've been through." The support group met monthly in Mom's living room, bringing together elderly people who'd been abused by family members and their adult children who'd helped them recover. "Sarah thought she was destroying our family," Mom told the group, "but she actually made us stronger." The group had become like an extended family for Mom. These were people who understood the unique trauma of being betrayed by someone you love and trust completely. We've all learned that family isn't just about blood relationships.
one group member said. It's about people who genuinely care about your well-being. Mom had also developed new friendships and interests that had nothing to do with her experience with Sarah. She joined a book club, started taking art classes, and had even begun dating a widower she'd met at the senior center. Harold is nothing like your father, she told me about her new boyfriend, but he's kind and honest and he makes me laugh. Are you happy? Happier than I've been in years. I feel like I'm living my life instead of just surviving it. Harold had been incredibly supportive of Mom's advocacy work and had even accompanied her to some of her speaking engagements. Your mother is an inspiration, he told me. She's turned her worst experience into something that helps other people. The financial situation had also stabilized. Sarah had been making restitution payments from her prison wages, and Mom had recovered most of the money that had been stolen. I don't need the money for myself, Mom said. I'm using it to fund the support group and to help other elder abuse victims. She'd established a foundation that provided legal assistance to elderly people who'd been financially abused by family members. If someone had been there to help me understand what was happening, Sarah might not have gotten as far as she did, Mom explained. I want to be that help for other people. The foundation had already assisted dozens of families, helping them recognize abuse, report it to authorities, and recover stolen assets. Your mother's foundation has become a model for elder abuse prevention, a social worker told me. Other states are copying what she's created here. As for Sarah, she was serving her 25-year sentence and would be eligible for parole in 2047, when she'd be 65 years old. She'd written several letters to Mom asking for forgiveness, but Mom had chosen not to respond. I've forgiven Sarah for my own peace of mind, Mom told me, but forgiveness doesn't mean I have to have a relationship with her. Do you think you'll ever want to see her again? I don't know. Right now I'm focused on the life I have, not the life she tried to take away from me. Mom had also made peace with the relatives who'd initially blamed her for Sarah's conviction. They understand now that I did what I had to do, she said. Some relationships can be repaired and some can't. I'm okay with that. The most beautiful part of Mom's transformation was how she learned to trust again. After being betrayed so completely by Sarah, she could have become suspicious and isolated. Instead, she'd chosen to remain open to new relationships and experiences. I won't let Sarah's actions make me afraid to trust people, she told me. That would be letting her win. Aren't you worried about being taken advantage of again? I'm more careful now. I ask more questions, I trust my instincts, and I have people like you watching out for me. But I'm not going to live in fear. As I watched Mom laugh with her friends at her birthday party, I marveled at her resilience and strength. Sarah tried to destroy her, but instead had revealed just how unbreakable Mom really was. What happened at our family reunion will terrify every parent watching. 5 years after Sarah's conviction, I was speaking to a room of healthcare professionals about the subtle signs of elder abuse, and I realized that our family's tragedy had become our greatest gift, the ability to protect other families from what we'd endured. The most dangerous elder abusers are often the people who seem most caring and devoted. I told the audience of doctors, nurses, and social workers, my sister Sarah appeared to be the perfect daughter, attentive, helpful, and completely dedicated to my mother's care. The presentation had become a regular part of my volunteer work with Mom's Foundation. Together, we developed a comprehensive training program for healthcare professionals, family members, and elderly people themselves about recognizing medication abuse. The warning signs we miss seem obvious now, but at the time they were easy to rationalize. We shared the list we developed of red flags that families should watch out for. Sudden personality changes in elderly family members, confusion, drowsiness, or memory problems that develop quickly rather than gradually. One family member taking complete control of medical care, medications, and financial decisions. Resistance to allowing other family members to speak directly with doctors or attend medical appointments. Medications that don't make sense for the patient's diagnosed conditions or that come from multiple doctors and pharmacies. Financial changes like new wills, power of attorney documents, or unusual money transfers. Every one of these warning signs was present in our situation,
but we explained them away because we trusted Sarah and wanted to believe she was helping. Dr. Martinez, who had treated Mom after her poisoning, was now a regular speaker at our training sessions. Medical professionals need to be alert to unusual medication combinations, he told the healthcare workers. When an elderly patient is on multiple psychoactive drugs from different prescribers, that's a red flag for potential abuse. We've developed new protocols for screening elderly patients who present with sudden cognitive decline. We now routinely test for drug interactions and look for signs of medication overdose. The protocols developed from Mom's case had been adopted by hospitals nationwide and had already identified dozens of similar abuse cases. Your mother's experience has literally saved lives, Dr. Martinez told me. We've caught several cases of family members drugging elderly relatives, and we were able to intervene before serious harm occurred. Mom, now 84, continued to be the most powerful speaker at our events. Her first-hand account of being systematically poisoned by her own daughter had an impact that no medical professional or law enforcement officer could match. I want you to understand what it feels like to be slowly losing your mind, she told audiences. Every day I felt more confused, more tired, more helpless. I thought I was developing dementia, but really I was being murdered. The worst part wasn't the physical symptoms, it was the loss of trust in my own perceptions. Sarah convinced me that my confusion was normal aging, that my concerns were unfounded, that I needed to rely on her completely. Mom's presentations always included practical advice for elderly people and their families. Never let one person control all your medications. Keep a list of everything you're taking and why. Insist on speaking directly with your doctors. Don't let anyone else be your only source of medical information. Trust your instincts. If you feel worse after starting new medications, speak up. Maintain relationships with multiple family members and friends. Don't let anyone isolate you from your support network. Keep control of your finances. Be very careful about giving anyone power of attorney or access to your accounts. The foundation Mom had established had grown into a national organization with chapters in 15 states. We'd helped over 1,000 families recognize and report elder abuse, and our educational programs had reached thousands of people. The Eleanor Mitchell Foundation has become the leading voice in medication abuse prevention, our executive director told our board during our annual meeting. Eleanor's courage to share her story has created a movement. But the work had also revealed how common this type of abuse really was. Every month, we received calls from families who suspected similar situations. My mother has been acting strange since my brother started managing her medications. She's confused and sleepy all the time, but he says it's just her age. My father-in-law suddenly needs help with everything after his daughter moved in with him. He used to be sharp as a tack, but now he can barely function. Each case reminded us of how easily our situation could have ended differently. If you hadn't found that pill bottle when you did, I would be dead, Mom told me regularly. Sarah's plan was working perfectly. The investigation into Sarah's case had also revealed that she had been planning the poisoning for much longer than we had initially realized. Your sister had been researching medication abuse for over a year before she started drugging your mother, Detective Chen had told us. She had studied the effects of different drug combinations and had planned exactly how to make the poisoning look like natural decline. Sarah had also been in contact with other people online who were discussing similar schemes. The FBI had used her computer records to identify and investigate a network of family members who were abusing elderly relatives. Your sister's case led us to uncover at least 6 other similar situations, Detective Chen said. People were sharing information about which medications to use and how to avoid detection. The scope of the problem was staggering. Elder abuse experts estimated that millions of elderly Americans were being financially or medically abused by family members, but most cases were never reported. Family members are often the last people we suspect, explained Dr. Sarah Williams, a geriatrician who'd become involved in our advocacy work. We want to believe that families protect each other, but sometimes the people closest to us are the most dangerous.
The legal system had also evolved in response to cases like ours. Prosecutors were now better trained to recognize elder abuse, and new laws had made it easier to prosecute family members who abused elderly relatives. The Eleanor Mitchell Act has given us better tools to protect elderly people, the district attorney told us. We can now prosecute medication abuse more effectively and impose harsher sentences. As I finished my presentation to the healthcare professionals, I thought about how our family's worst nightmare had become our most important work. My sister tried to destroy our family for money, I told the audience, but she actually gave us a purpose that's more meaningful than any inheritance could ever be. Don't miss the conclusion, where you'll discover how losing everything I thought I wanted gave me everything I actually needed. 7 years after discovering Sarah's attempt to murder our mother, I'm sitting in Mom's garden on her 86th birthday, surrounded by the chosen family we've built from the ashes of Sarah's betrayal. And I'm amazed by how much love can grow from the deepest pain. I never imagined I'd live to see 86, Mom says, as she opens birthday cards from people across the country who've been touched by her story. 7 years ago, I thought I was dying of dementia. Now I feel more alive than ever. She's right. At 86, Mom is healthier, more active, and more purposeful than many people have her age. Her work with the foundation has given her a reason to get up every morning and a community of people who value her wisdom and experience. Your mother has become a national treasure, says Dr. Patricia Williams, the geriatrician who now serves on our foundation's medical advisory board. Her advocacy work has fundamentally changed how we approach elder abuse prevention. The numbers speak for themselves. The Eleanor Mitchell Foundation has now helped over 1,000 families recognize and report elder abuse. Our educational programs have reached hundreds of thousands of people, and the protocols we've developed are used in hospitals and clinics nationwide. We estimate that Eleanor's work has prevented hundreds of cases of elder abuse, our research director tells the birthday gathering. Her courage to speak out has created a ripple effect that's protecting vulnerable people everywhere. But the statistics that matter most to me are the personal ones. The individual lives that have been saved because people recognize the warning signs we've taught them to watch for. Your presentation saved my father's life, a woman tells Mom during the birthday celebration. I recognized the signs you described and discovered that my stepmother was drugging him. We got help before it was too late. My grandmother is alive today because of your foundation, adds a young man. Your hotline helped us understand what was happening and connected us with the right resources. These stories arrive regularly. Families who've been protected because they learned to recognize the warning signs of medication abuse, financial exploitation, and emotional manipulation. Mom has also become a mentor to other elder abuse survivors, helping them navigate the complex emotions of being betrayed by family members. The hardest part isn't the physical abuse, she tells the support group that still meets monthly in her living room. It's learning to trust again after someone you love completely betrays that trust. But we can't let their actions make us afraid to love, she continues. That would be letting them win. The support group has become a true family for many of its members. These are people who understand the unique trauma of family betrayal and who've chosen to heal together rather than suffer alone. Sarah thought she was destroying our family, Mom tells new group members, but she actually taught us what real family looks like, people who choose to care for each other without ulterior motives. Mom's relationship with Harold has also deepened over the years. They married 3 years ago in a small ceremony surrounded by the chosen family we've built through our advocacy work. Harold loves me for who I am, not for what I have, Mom tells people. That's what real love looks like. Harold has become an integral part of our foundation's work, using his background in accounting to help other elder abuse victims recover stolen assets. Your mother taught me that it's never too late to find purpose, he tells people. Together, we're making sure other families don't go through what she experienced. The foundation has also established a scholarship program for students studying elder law,
geriatric medicine, and social work, fields that are crucial for protecting vulnerable seniors. Education is the key to prevention, Mom explains to the scholarship recipients. The more people understand about elder abuse, the better we can protect potential victims. My own life has been transformed by this work as well. I've left my corporate job to work full-time with the foundation, and I've found more meaning in this work than I ever did in my previous career. You've turned your family's tragedy into the world's greatest gift, my daughter tells me. You've shown that healing is possible even from the worst betrayals. My children have also been involved in the foundation's work, helping with social media outreach and youth education programs. Grandma's story taught us that family isn't just about blood relationships, it's about people who genuinely care about each other's well-being. As for Sarah, she's now in her 10th year of a 25-year sentence. She's written several more letters asking for forgiveness, but Mom has maintained her decision not to respond. I've forgiven Sarah for my own peace of mind, Mom explains. But forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. Some relationships can't be repaired. Do you ever think about what your life would have been like if Sarah hadn't done this? I ask Mom as we watch the sunset from her garden. Sometimes, she replies. But I think this is the life I was meant to live. Sarah's betrayal revealed my true purpose, which is protecting other people from what I went through, making sure no other family has to experience this kind of betrayal. The foundation has also gone international, with chapters now operating in Canada, the UK, and Australia. Elder abuse is a global problem, and our educational materials have been translated into multiple languages. Eleanor's story resonates across cultures, our international director tells us. The dynamics of family betrayal and elder abuse are unfortunately universal. But perhaps the most meaningful measure of our success is the relationship Mom and I have built. The crisis that could have destroyed our family instead brought us closer than we'd ever been. I'm grateful for everything that happened, Mom tells me as we prepare for bed after her birthday celebration. Not grateful for Sarah's betrayal, but grateful for the journey it led us on. I feel the same way, I reply. Sarah tried to steal your life, but she gave us both a purpose that's more valuable than any inheritance could ever be. As I tuck Mom into bed, something I never thought I'd be able to do after Sarah's poisoning campaign, I think about the journey we've taken together. 7 years ago, Sarah thought she was slowly killing a helpless old woman for money. What she actually did was awaken a fierce advocate who would spend the rest of her life protecting other vulnerable people. Sometimes the people who try to destroy us end up revealing our greatest strength. Sarah thought she was taking my mother's life, but she gave us both a mission that's more meaningful than any inheritance could ever be. Her betrayal didn't break us. It made us unbreakable.
Have you ever suspected that an elderly family member was being abused or manipulated? Have you recognized warning signs of medication abuse or financial exploitation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your awareness might help another family recognize the signs before it's too late.